All right, so Crimson Trundle. So the deck building requirements for in Runeterra, for those that are newer or not familiar, are you can have up to 3 copies of cards in your deck, but you can only have 6 of your most powerful / expensive champion cards. So generally speaking, you play 3 of 2 different champions. This build's doing something a little bit different. In addition to playing the neutral Trundle out of the 3rd set here, we've got a 4/6 with regeneration that levels when he sees you play an Ice Pillar, and he creates an Ice Pillar for you when he comes into place. This is an 8 cost thing. And then his leveled mode makes him bigger for each 8+ cost card in your hand or in play, so he's self-enabling in a way. Regenerate mechanic means that, similar to Magic, he heals himself in this game at the end of each round. Normally things keep damage on them. So this build, instead of playing 3 of its second champion, we've got 2 copies of Swain here, as well as 1 copy of Vladimir. And the reason why I would assume we're trying this is because we've got 3 copies of the Leviathan here at the top end of our curve, where this is a card that when you play it, it draws your champion Swain. So this card gives us, we basically have 5 virtual copies of Swain by playing Leviathan. So by diversifying our champions a little bit here with 1 Vladimir, we can occasionally have board states where we have 3 champions in play. Vladimir, a little bit less commonly played champion. I kind of expect this guy to get a rework at some point. He's a little bit on the weak side currently compared to some of the other champions in the game. He's a 5/5 for 5 that says, for each attacking ally other than Vladimir, deal 1 damage to it and 1 to the Nexus. And then he levels when allies have survived damage 6 times. His leveled mode has regeneration, is a little bit bigger, and has a drain instead of a deal damage. So drains heal you when damage happens. The Crimson part of this archetype is, we've got some Crimson Disciples here. When I survive damage, deal 1 to the enemy Nexus. And Crimson Aristocrat here, which deals damage to one of your things and makes them bigger permanently. So this pairs well, not only with Crimson Disciple, but also with Unscarred Reaver here at the bottom end of our curve. So an aggressively slanted mid-rangey deck here. Let's go ahead and dive on into some games with this and see how it goes. Least played champions are both noxious. Is Katarina the other one on the least played list? Lux Leona. Bottom Fervor, keep my 1-drop, 2-drop Trundle.
Ours is the one true life. Punish transgressions.
So this gets 1/1 for just the round you play it, so I don't really want to chump this turn, because this is going to lose its bonus anyways. That's just not true. I was going to say, we could look at objective data. The least played champ is Hymir. Look at that. Yay, statistics. I guess we technically don't know fully because, like, those are just the mobilytics stats, and, like, there's more people that play that don't use mobilytics, but I don't see what there's a reason why to not assume that mobilytics wouldn't be representative.
Bask in her radiant blessing. Let me show you what I can do.
Transfusion here, really powerful combat trick with our Crimson. Deals 1 to something, gives something +2/+2, so can trigger those if I survive damage clauses nicely.
I love a taste of the action.
Shove these into combat here again.
No mercy for heretics.
Look what you
Warriors.
Mobilytics is likely biased towards spikes. Where's the data on that? I mean, you can't have data on that, right? Like, that's making an assumption. I think that sounds like a logical assumption to me. Data doesn't exist outside of, what's it called? Outside of, Riot, headquarters, whatever you want to call it, to, like, prove or disprove something like that. So, again, Percy, what they're saying is they're not saying if you use Mobalytics, then you're not a spike. They're saying if you're not a spike, you're less likely to use Mobalytics. So obviously, Mobalytics has players that are going to be more casual leaning. But I think the base assumption that the average person using Mobalytics is more competitive is probably correct. I would be inclined to think that that is reality. I think I want to play Trundle out here as opposed to Swain, because I'm expecting them to play out something here, and this has regeneration, so this is more likely to be able to attack in than Swain after I play it.
We can do this.
She is a barrier, so no real point to attack, although I guess I can bluff, right? It's a free bluff, because like this regenerates. Lux is pretty scary. Every time they cast 6+ total mana worth of spells, they get a final spark. That is an obliterate for that, huh? Yikes. Attack helps level Vlad. Yeah, that's true. Lux is definitely one of my favorite champions still. I think she's a bit weaker now that A-Soul exists in the game, but still fun. So Ice Pillar is a free roll here because it replenishes the 8 mana. Might as well play it out. Helps me control combat a little bit here.
My faith protects me.
Order, sir. Bring forth our army.
Swain still really far from leveling up here. Need 7 more non-combat damage to go. I think I'm just ending the turn here. I don't really have great attacks. I guess this is technically an okay attack. I'm just going to end the round and burn their mana.
Artillery barrage.
Oh, right, she's vulnerable. In my head, I had this challenging. Yeah, I guess, I don't know. Like, what are, like, they have so much mana there. What are the odds of this actually working there? I feel like it's gotta be pretty low, right?
Destination in sight. Bring these lads.
Like, I feel like burning their mana there is probably optimal. Target's mostly slow speed removal. Oh, they're Demacia. They could have had something like a back-to-back. I think back-to-back's a super playable card in their archetype. This card is so good. This Decimate will still level Swain, which is nice. Like, they went to 9, but I've got 12 rolled up here. Yeah, they're not Freljord, right? So they don't have, So they're passing? Do I again just serve back? And, like, burn 5 of their mana? And, like, put them to 6? I think I do. I think I just pass back and, like, pick my mana back up. It'll stun these 2 inside of combat. I have a bunch of mana for Decimates. Oh, wait, this isn't ending the round. They didn't pass, they burst spelled. Good call. Nah, I think I'm supposed to get into combat here. I have a lot of overwhelm power. Okay, he's dead. My boat is still very much alive though. Put you to 2, and then boat trigger is lethal next turn. This does 1 damage 3 times.
Darken the sky!
Okay, they're down to 1. I've got 8. So they have to beat the decimates and the boat on board. Get you. I'm convinced that Swain and his boat are the best mid-range things to be doing in Runeterra. Maybe. Shark's a pretty good mid-range thing to be doing. There's a lot of good playable top end in this game. Target's also got, there's just like, you know, it's a pretty balanced competitive environment where there's a variety of things you can be playing that are mid-range that are competitive. That's what happens when your game's well balanced and well designed. Instead of, you know, Uro. How do you feel about the Sea Monster and all this deck? I think it's super reasonable. It's a very good option for, and that's the other thing too, right? Like, there's so many options for so many different things in this game. Like, that's the go big, go over the top deck. That's very, very reasonable. Deep feels medium at the moment. That's not been my experience. I think that archetype's very, very playable. Can you explain why you think it's not good? I think that archetype on average tends to be better against the aggressive decks because of its SI package, the Shadow Isles life gain package, than what the ramp decks are able to put up. I think I'm going to go ahead and just Noxian Fervor here. Their deck's a little bit aggressively slanted based on misfortunes of champions. Just want to preserve my life total here, I think. I'm going to try and survive to get to my Trundles and my Pharaons. Yeah, it's got a decent ramp matchup because of Maokai as well, is very accurate.
By all means, get in my way. The Winter's Claw.
We'll see if they have a Get Excited here to kill my Ruthless Raider. It's unfortunate. So Get Excited gets +1 by this, but that's fine. Too many Acel decks running around, and he goes too hard, too fast. I don't think that's true. And the data on Mobalytics disagrees with you. So, like, my anecdotal experience disagrees with you, and the data currently disagrees with you. So you should probably reassess your position.
Respect you,
Also, like, there's more than just Aesol, right? Like, what, we're two...
Bow to your king.
If they mattered, I'd let them live.
Trying won't do any good.
I think I just say okay here, right? This is gonna go to 6, and then it'll still eat this here. So this is 3, 4. Okay, so we transfusion again. So if my opponent would have waited, they wouldn't have gotten to blow me. They wouldn't have been able to blow them out here. So now they do 3, 4, 5. And then he regenerates here. So getting all these hits in combat, this 4-6 is very hard for their archetype to deal with because they're mostly damage-based removal.
Give me a weapon, I'll give it firepower.
All of your spells and skills deal 1 extra damage. It's pretty good. Pretty awkward here that we have so many 8s in our hand at the moment. They're going to get to come rolling out next turn, but we're going to lose 5 mana in terms of resource efficiency here.
Lands now. You're in my kingdom now.
When are we going to play Elder Scrolls? We're going to start that about 2 o'clock.
All that glitters.
It's about an hour and 10 minutes from now. And that'll go up on YouTube too, just like everything else. I'll end this. Opponent surrenders. Math checks out on that one. I feel like this is an example of people misevaluating why they lost. Lots of times you didn't lose to Aesol. You lost to the tools to let them get to 10 mana because you weren't fast enough or disruptive enough. Yeah, I agree with that. This deck seems like a pretty reasonable choice. All the mid-range and control decks people are playing right now. Opponent was playing like a Misfortune, Twisted Fate aggro deck. They had 3 champions. They had Gang playing Twisted Fate and Misfortune. Alright, so this is the Endure deck. Got Mulligan Transfusion here. I think I want to keep Swain in this matchup. Put a Mulligan Babblingberg. Look for like a 3-drop here, I think. Hey, that's a good one.
I've got this.
Ha! This card's really funny against Cursed Keeper. Rats. Rats! Suddenly all of our plans went to crap, chat. Yikes.
Look what you
Might be too slow here now. A pretty big hit there. That's not terrible. They weren't expecting fallers. I think we're dead.
I'm ready. Maybe.
So I get to go +2 defense here, -2 attack here. And then I get to Noxian Fervor, deal 3, deal 3. This will get big and trade with this. I take 4. Okay, we're not out of it yet. These will trade here because this will be gaining attack.
Born a patrician, I became a
This is really not what we needed here.
pledge or perish.
Or are we? Or are we doomed, Percy? Or are we? This card's so good. I assume we're gonna open attacks here.
You lack discipline.
We end up at 4.
Sacrifices must be made. By my hand will Noxus rise.
The chains, they never stop! What's that noise?
Fight or die.
I think that's it, right?
By all means, get in my way.
Needed them to not have that one on curve. Needed a turn for the Leviathan to be able to get in there.
You lack discipline.
Oh, please.
And everything else on curve, why not the 992? Fair. Yeah, I don't think there was a whole lot we could do there. Really seeing, so our decks felt good against other mid-range and control decks there, but really seeing some of our deck building choices come back to bite us in that aggressive matchup, right? Like, had we had lower curve cards as opposed to, you know, a bunch of 8-drops in our hand, we would have taken less damage earlier on, and then maybe that would have given us the staying power we needed to not die to the 9-9 that turn on curve. Mulligan these, looking for some cheaper cards. So Johnny Gangplank tends to be aggressively slanted. It's a good start.
Nothing like a stink of blood and sweat.
Would you like to give me a 3-1?
The dead don't need riches.
You would. Thank you. Kokobe, thank you for the 10 months of Prime. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. We're going to end the round here. Bang some spell mana. Lectures are real good with Reaver here. This is gonna get real big real fast.
Oh, I can't wait.
Monkey's super annoying though. This creates powder monkeys 3 turns in a row.
Eyes blazing bright as torches! Yeah, you don't want to cross me.
And these are ephemeral, so they go away at end of turn, so I don't really want to attack into them. In a lot of ways, this card acts like a double fog.
Come here, darling. Is that all?
It's also very good at enabling both of their champions. Couldn't the opponent just pass instead of attacking the O3? Yeah. But they obviously had a Make It Rain in their hand, so they wanted to put it to 1 toughness with the attack so they could kill it with Make It Rain. Was their goal.
Ye started without me.
I've not peeked in. That event's not till the end of the month either, so I'm not super worried about it in the short term.
Fight or die.
Again, seeing some of kind of that clunk. This deck's having a lot of resource inefficient turns. A lot of like turns 5, 6, 7. We have so many 8 drops just like passing, not using our mana. I think what you're describing is a little bit of a different deck, Watermelon. Like this deck's explicitly trying to play lower costed things so it can pressure the other ramp decks more efficiently. And I think that the deck you're describing is fine, but again, I think it's just like fundamentally different than what I'm currently playing.
Be grateful I even noticed.
So this is vulnerable, so Sajani can attack it and hook this.
Bristle. Attack.
And then Ajani's gonna level, and then Sajani leveled is like really scary. Means all of their direct damage like fogs our turn. Or like blows us out inside of their combat. They like already have 1 warning shot here. So every time they deal damage to our Nexus for the first time, they frostbite all of our stuff. And again, just like having another turn here, I just like don't get to use any of my mana. Because of how many 8 drops we have. While Captain Farron is a fairly impressive card when it gets to work, I think we're gonna end up cutting this from the deck. I think it's just too much clunk in the trunk. I need some more things at like 5, 6, and 7 on my curve.
I am reborn of salt and pride. Neither the flames nor the death.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly I want Captain Farron to be, but it needs to be. Oh God, Yar. I've played a number of Swain decks in the past, and this deck is definitely the worst deck I've played in terms of leveling Swain. It is not particularly good at dealing non-combat damage.
Battle stations!
I'm just dead, right? I just don't even have good attacks because they have this warning shot. I think Avalanche is, again, a different deck. There's builds of this that play Avalanche, but they tend to be more ramp focused. They tend to not want to be playing a bunch of cheap units like this. Try and drag the curve down with these. Lee Sin Tarek, eh? Well, we have plenty of 5s this time through.
These jewels are more than mere trinkets.
Hey, Cody, thanks for the sub gift. I appreciate it.
Heed the path.
To use wild cards or to use gems, you should always use the currencies from the top down peek in. So the currencies basically go from most specific to least specific. So you should use wild cards, then use shards, then use coins. Is the order in which you should prioritize using your crafting materials.
Remember my words. In the War Mother's name.
You'll live, probably.
The old 5-2 for one. Sure.
The Scar Maidens will know my name. You spurn my gift?
O4 meet O4. Yeah, I agree. Getting a Hush out of their hand on my 1-drop seems like an overall W for us. We call that the middle school dance combat.
I am truly honored, Protector.
You honor me with every blessing you give.
One star's whoopsie is another spark.
Trundle. Trundle is just such a giant brick wall for people to attack into because of his regeneration. Probably put down Swain next turn because he's fearsome and they don't have blockers to potentially get him in to trigger his Nexus Strike to get him leveling.
Take forever, why don't you?
Heckle him. Heckle him, Trundle.
Loyalty through conquest. Stand as a Noxian or die as an Ionian.
I made my choice long ago.
I won't fail.
So they put Lee Sin here I can Fervor to finish him. Just potentially appealing. They do have 3 resources, so they could have something like a Bastion, but I'm happy with this attack. I'm gonna get to level him fairly quickly, especially with Tarek double casting a spell.
This is not the way.
We know they have the Sunburst card in their hand.
Yet the winter's claw.
So we're gonna go up to 7 mana on their next turn. We'll have 8 mana on our next turn, so we'll get to Ice Pillar, Leviathan then.
Indecision is the first of many weaknesses.
Yeah, when you get Lee Sin set up, it definitely feels pretty good. We tried a couple iterations of the opponent's archetype, and it struggled a lot with aggressive decks, but our deck isn't particularly aggressive, so they definitely have time to get set up here and potentially execute the Lee Sin Overwhelm combo. Yeah, Pillar notably says refill 8 mana, so if you like cheat it into play or make it cheaper, it doesn't ramp you. It's good clean design there. Like many things in Runeterra, it's well thought out and executed. Anything that's not well thought out in the moment will get patched pretty quickly. How do we feel about Noxian Fervor into Flock this? I feel like I don't hate it.
Sacrifices must be made.
I'll see this through.
So they could have Bastion here. Oh, you know what? I probably shouldn't have hit Trundle, because now they can hook Trundle with Lee Sin. It's fine. They don't have a Bastion here. Guiding Touch, yep.
I will not hold back.
This levels Swain at least, but still not great for us. Oh wow, and now we don't level Swain. Wow, that's brutal. This Ravenous Flock only hits damaged or stunned units. Yeah, I do have Elixir to save him in the event of...
I've dressed for the occasion in red.
And Lee Sin's gonna level here, so he's gonna Dragon's Rage my Trundle.
Center your spirit.
Queue up Flock and then cast Fervor in the same action? No. The Flock requires you to meet the condition when you cast it and when it resolves.
Never submit.
As the dragon wills.
Sending Swain back to my hand is brutal. It means I can't boat plus Swain next turn. What's going on, Beta? Yep, welcome. Welcome to Runeterra. This has tough, so I can't trade here with this. I think I'm just putting Vladimir in front of it. We're still taking 10 from Lee Sin, so we take 5 from the Dragon's Rage and 5 from it Overwhelming.
Preserve beauty and protect all life.
Oh gosh, I forgot Tarek was gonna level. That's fine. I don't think we're winning this anyways, but I definitely forgot that.
It's always cold in the Freljord. You're in my kingdom now.
Maybe our Overwhelms plus the Swain plus the Leviathan can punch for lethal here.
Don't ya?
Conflict is all in the mind.
Are they dead?
Hold back. Deploying! Only cowards hide in machines.
I have 2 mana? This is gonna be a 7 with Overwhelm? They're probably pretty close to dead, right?
One smack'll do.
One smack'll do.
Mountain endures.
That's the hope.
You're interesting.
The hope is that one smack is sufficient. They could have the gain 2, right? There's they played 2 guiding touches earlier, right? They need like another one of those. Yeah, they double guiding touched earlier, but they just drew 4 spells, so like they could have a third. Oh, we killed them with the boat. Right. Sick. Forgot about the boat. This was about our experience with the Lee Sin deck. Like, even when your deck did the thing, it still didn't win the game all the time. And the games where you didn't do the thing, you weren't close to winning. Ooh. Alright, Lux Aesol, control deck. Let's see if we can. We're definitely the beatdown here. Omen Hawk on 1, good for when you're planning to be the beatdown. Notable that they are not playing Freljord, so my opponent will not be accelerating. They're just like planning to Aesol on 10 here, it looks like. Yikes. That is a... Well, we are no longer the beatdown. Defense. Defense.
You'll live, probably.
The moose is loose, chat.
Oh, please.
I've got 2 boats here too, though. So like, got a really nice boat. Do you like my boat, chat? It's very nice.
Ancient things trapped in the ice.
We call that a yacht. It's a nice boat. Got it. Sounds good. Like the jargon.
You gotta believe me.
Treaties? Deal arena. Oh.
Bar the doors.
Bar the dolls.
Good for you. These are troll lands.
Think I want to play Trundle here in case they remembrance. Like make a 5/5.
I fight for the fallen.
Or Radiant Guardian works too. Get a good free block here on this.
I'd never keep my guests waiting.
Let the light guide you.
Come, Lux. Don't hold back.
I'm
Let me show you what I can do.
Blood isn't a toy, dear. People are.
Blood isn't a toy. People are.
Come here, darling.
Strength through suffering.
I'm playing Switch to Diana deck, and it's been fun. But the zaps felt clunky in the early turns. Are there any cheaper cards you could play to smooth out my curve? Percy said he liked Hired Gun. I was liking the more elusive threats, though. I feel like the deck has a lot of. It has what? It has 8 1-drops and 6 6/2s. I feel like if you're being too clunked up, you probably just start mulliganing enough. Or aren't mulliganing appropriately. Mixed feelings about how that turn went.
Time to get rowdy.
Is the Hush really a blowout? Like, we, like, traded an equivalent number of cards for an equivalent number of cards, right?
Can't handle a little cold. It's good to be the king.
Mine too, Mapai. Mine too. Yeah, I think we about broke even on that combat step overall.
Centuries.
I've been hiding my light too long.
Character creation. I have, we're gonna play a spell sword. So that way we can do, like, Fighters Guild missions and Mages Guild missions reasonably. So I have a character design in mind. I intend to RPG as. Rather than putting it up to Twitch chat. Am I attacking here? I kind of just want to pass and burn their final spark. They have the lifelinker anyways. I'm just going to burn their final spark. What's my favorite Lux Shell? Lux Ash is my favorite Lux Shell at the moment. I think you need to be aggressive to get under the Acel decks.
They look angry.
Well, I think I plan to make my character just a white dude, Jin, so it'll be pretty easy to be in character for that.
By my hand, the Noxus rise.
Grand General!
Justice will be served!
By all means, get in my way.
You played Lux Ash since Call Release, not on stream. So, Swain is 1 point of damage away from leveling. So, the boat next turn will stun 2 of their things, which is nice. Well, that's unfortunate.
My legacy.
Thresh Trundle. I don't know. I have a heart, like, so I feel like when you play, like, a non-Acel control deck, you need to have a way to be really aggressive some amount of the time, or you just, like, are conceding to the ramp matchups. It's their attack, Percy. Spark me, daddy, spark me.
No more holding back!
Banish the unworthy!
Darken the skies! Destination in sight! Alright, let's mess some folks up.
Let's mess some folks up. Yeah, I'm hoping to kill Lux this turn. Think I'm supposed to attack with the boats here too?
One smack'll do.
Honestly, it might be right to throw away this ice pillar here too, just so they don't have something to hook next turn.
I'll protect you.
Ah, shut up.
These blocks put them to dead to boats next turn, so that's not great for them. So I assume they need to reconsider and throw up one of those. Yeah. That's pretty good. Maybe I'm supposed to... I think I made a mistake. I think I was supposed to Crimson over this. Maybe even before combat there.
They think themselves cultured.
So that gives me a chance to do that, right? And I think that's what I want. Do you want me to Swain over the pillar? Yeah, I guess they don't have any challenger, huh? I don't think we can beat single combat. Yeah, it's their attack, so they're gonna get to attack here.
You will be scoured from this land.
I'd ask your name, but I don't care.
You got a problem? You dare oppose Noxus?
Don't let my size fool you.
I probably shouldn't risk Swain, right? But what could they have that punishes this? Is it better to put Boat in front of here and leave Swain at 7?
Patience is a tactician's greatest.
Probably. Yeah, this feels like a space smash face attack.
Burn on.
Going to the light.
You'll live, probably.
Darken the skies!
I will break them.
Fire!
Bleed for Noxus.
Attacks. We shall open on them.
Get ready for a beatdown.
He's a big boy, chat. Big boy Trundle. The Overly unfortunately does not show leveled up champions.
Something.
Vladimir's been really bad. I'm gonna cut Vladimir. We should just play a third Swain, right? Honestly, thinking about curve, can I just like play a Braum? I'm gonna play a Braum. I'm gonna be cheeky, continue to play 3 champions. I think Diana has surpassed Fizz as my favorite champion. She's really good in a lot of mid-rangey aggressive decks.
See the Debastian border from here.
The winter's claw strikes.
She's coming for you, chat. That's the Winter's Claw right there, for those not familiar.
Leave nothing standing.
Ready the torches.
Lulu Zed. I think Lulu Zed's super reasonable. There are variations of Lulu Zed. I don't know that Elusive's necessarily great there. I have a hard time envisioning an ideal Lulu deck that's not just like playing the cheap Demacia Challenger units. Fey Guide is very good. I agree that Fey Guide is great. Fey Guide, curving Fey Guide, Lulu or Zed into Fey Guide is both of those champions are excellent with that.
Ice to meet you.
them having Trundle a turn early seems good.
The trolls are going to war!
You're playing a Lulu Noxious deck. You should share that, Innuendo. That could be something that could fit into my lineup. Put it in the subs Discord. I don't have time to look at it midstream, but
Bow to your king!
yeah, I'm already using Targon for my tournament decks. I believe it pairs well with Targon because, like, Targon's great with everything, I feel like, but I've already used the Targon region. I will say this, people, we've talked about running Hoaglandia Runeterra tournaments. If we run Hoaglandia Runeterra tournaments, they definitely won't be triple deck format. The triple deck format has felt unpleasant to try and find combinations to play. Like, I feel like there's tons of combinations of, like, 2 decks I love playing that I can put together, but, like, finding a 3rd deck that I love to fit in with it has not felt easy. I have not played Trundle Thresh. Whoa, we did get a big raid. Mega Mogwai coming through. Thank you for the absurd host. Hope you had a good stream today.
Vision to see what others cannot.
So, they could threaten to try and eat my Trundle, but I've got both Transfusion and Noxian Fervor to potentially trade for theirs. Oh, this is 7th up. We got Noxian Fervor to potentially trade. Fervor will get this leveling as well.
When victory is at stake.
Really feels like we're pretty far behind in... Really feels like we're pretty far behind in this matchup where they have ramp and we don't. Most of the decks I play here are things that viewers have submitted, Vanzagon. You can submit decks to be played on stream by using the link on my website there.
Knock 'em dead. One smack'll do.
So, using the Fervor here means we take a little bit more Overwhelm damage, but I think I'd rather take more Overwhelm damage than leave Swain marked with some damage here. And their Swain is 6 out of 12 towards leveling. And again, we're just like, we're another turn off of our boat yet still, right? And their boat's coming down now. Unfortunate that I can't use Transfusion with this to kill this. Yeah, Easy Karma's on my list, Percy.
This is a tactician's greatest tool.
That's something that could fit in depending on how I shuffle my lineup. The Diana Twisted deck that we played yesterday means I might shuffle my lineup off what I was expecting to do because I just can't find a 3rd deck that works with the other 2 decks I like. The good news is at least they won't have Swain leveled next turn when their boat starts going off, so we've got that going for us.
Ice to meet you.
Another Trundle here means they're going to get to run down my Swain. Although I guess Transfusion plus Chant can potentially keep them off of doing that.
Darken the skies!
No, Watermelon, I don't have 8 mana to play my Ice Pillar, so that's not how that would have worked.
By my hand will Noxus rise. Grand General!
Ice Pillar is like a free roll blocker here of sorts, although I guess not really because they have zeros that can hook it. The tricky part here is if this gets big enough and I need to play both of these, I can't play Leviathan this turn. I'm also pretty far off of leveling this still, which means theirs is going to level next turn and mine won't quite be there yet.
Positions!
Indecision is the first of many weaknesses.
Thanks, Innuendo. The question is, how many 8s do they have? They have at least 2 here, or at least 3. These 2 plus the 1 in their hand. Behold counts, one's in play and in hand, so this could be getting as much as 4 or 5 power here. Lux Thresh. I don't think Lux Thresh is particularly playable. I don't think that deck's top end goes big enough to get over to be competitive against like the Asol and other ramp decks in the format right now. Actually, I liked that deck a lot last season. I spent some time playing it off stream and it just doesn't feel competitive anymore. It's not aggressive enough or big enough to keep up with like things like what this opponent is doing or any of the Asol decks in the format. Yeah, Zombie Ash could be on the list. I think I'm gonna consider Lux Ash. Lux is one of my favorite champions, and I think pairing her with Ash lets you punk people out occasionally, which is nice. Have you tried War Mothers this season? Yeah, it's just not a very interesting deck to play, Percy. It has a lot of the same problems that the Lulu decks have, that just, like, they're boring. Yeah, we're super dead here.
A minor setback.
Alright, speaking of, I was going to do a variety segment, but we just got an insane host from Mogwai, so I think I'm going to actually do a second Runeterra deck today to try and capitalize on that. For folks that are new, my name is Jeff Hoagland. I stream full-time here on Twitch. I do some Magic the Gathering, some Runeterra, some other different variety games. We're going to wrap on Morrowind today still, but probably another hour or two now. As far as this deck's concerned, this specific build that we had a viewer sent in felt pretty lackluster overall. I kind of feel like the deck we just played against, a little bit bigger version that's ramping, is probably a better variation of this archetype. These kind of small, mopey Crimson creatures really just are kind of low quality cards overall that, while being a little bit synergistic, don't really have what it takes to be aggressive enough to run people down. And we're not an aggro deck, right? Like, it feels like this deck's kind of pulling in two different directions, and that, like, we've got this powerful mid-range / control top end here at the top, but then we're pulling down here at the bottom. For a $50 donation, you can pick the deck, Fox. I would love to play more Twisted Diana. Would not mind that one. That one was very, very good yesterday.